Further proceedings under the quorum be terminated.
Without objection. Senator is recognized.
Mr. President, I have sought recognition to state my position on a bill known as the Employees' Choice Bill, also known as car sharing. My vote on this bill is very difficult for many reasons. First, on the merits, it is a close call and has been the most heavily lobbied issue I can recall. Second, it is a very emotional issue, with labor looking to this legislation to reverse the steep decline in union membership and business expressing great concern about added costs which would drive many companies out of business or overseas. Perhaps most of all, it is very hard to disappoint many friends who have supported me over the years on either side, who are urging me to vote their way. In voting for cloture, that is to cut off debate, in June of 2007, I emphasized in my floor statement and in a law review article that I was not supporting the bill on the merits, but only to take up the issue of labor law reform. Hearings had shown that the NLRB was dysfunctional and badly politicized. When Republicans controlled the board, the decisions were for business. With Democrats in control, the decisions were for labor. Some cases took as long as 11 years to decide. The remedies were ineffective. Regrettably, there has been widespread intimidation on both sides. Testimony shows union officials visit workers' homes with strong-arm tactics and refuse to leave until cards are signed. Similarly, employees have complained about being captives in employers' meetings with threats of being fired and other strong-arm tactics. On the merits, the issue which has emerged at the top of the list for me is the elimination of the secret ballot, which is the cornerstone of how contests are decided in a democratic society. The bill's requirement for compulsory arbitration, if an agreement is not reached within 120 days, may subject the employer to a deal he or she cannot live with. Such arbitration runs contrary to the basic tenet of the Wagner Act for collective bargaining, which makes the employer liable only for a deal he or she agrees to. The arbitration provision could be substantially improved by the last best offer procedure, which would limit the arbitrator's discretion and prompt the parties to move to more reasonable positions. In seeking more union membership and negotiating leverage, labor has a valid point that they have suffered greatly from outsourcing of jobs to foreign countries and losses in pension and health benefits. President Obama has pressed labor's argument that the middle class needs to be strengthened through more power to unions in their negotiations with business. The better way to expand labor's clout in collective bargaining is through amendments to the NLRA rather than on eliminating the secret ballot and mandatory arbitration. Some of the possible provisions for such remedial legislation are set forth in an appendix to this statement. In June 2007, the employer's choice was virtually monolithic. That is, the vote on the employer's choice bill was virtually monolithic. 50 senators, Democrats, voted for cloture and 48 Republicans against. I was the only Republican to vote for cloture. The prospects for the next cloture votes are virtually the same. No Democratic senator has spoken out against cloture. Republican senators are outspoken in favor of a filibuster. With the prospects of a Democratic win in Minnesota yet uncertain, it appears that 59 Democrats will vote to proceed with 40 Republicans in opposition. If so, the decisive vote would be mine. In a highly polarized Senate, many decisive votes are left to a small group who are willing to listen, reject ideological dogmatism, disagree with the party line, and make an independent judgment. It is an anguishing position, but we play the cards we're dealt. The emphasis on bipartisanship is, I think, misplaced. There is no special virtue in having some Republicans and some Democrats take similar position. The desired value really is independent thought and an objective judgment. It obviously can't be that all Democrats come to one conclusion and all Republicans come to the opposite conclusion by expressing their individual objective judgments. Senators' sentiments expressed in the cloakroom frequently differ dramatically from their votes in the well of the Senate. The nation would be better served, in my opinion, with public policy determined by independent, objective legislators' judgments. The problem of the recession makes this a particularly bad time to enact employees' choice legislation. Employers understandably complain that adding a burden would result in further job losses. If efforts are unsuccessful to give labor sufficient bargaining power through amendments to the NLRA, then I would be willing to reconsider employees' choice legislation when the economy returns to normalcy. I'm announcing my decision now because I have consulted with a very large number of interested parties on both sides, and I have made up my mind. Knowing that I will not support cloture on this bill, senators may choose to move on and amend the NLRA as I have suggested or otherwise. This announcement should end the rumor mill that I have made some deal for my political advantage. I have not traded my vote in the past, and I would not do so now. I ask consent that the text be included in the record and that statement of appendix with suggested revisions to the National Labor Relations Act be included as well.
Is there objection?
I thank the
Hearing none, so ordered.
yield the floor.
Senator yields back.